Okay, so for answering the question number one in the Shepsel text, which reads, I must follow the people, am I not their leader, by Disarelli, the answer to that would be pretty simple. If you look at the text, there's two different ways to describe leadership, and there's leadership as a trustee and leadership as a delegate. And to answer the question to this, it would be yes, that you are a leader even though you consider to follow the people, which is basically described as leading as a delegate. Basically, delegates believe that their constituents are the boss and that they ought to be obeyed. They try to maintain a connection. They try to basically be on the same level with them. They look to the people to lead them in the sense that, okay, that sounds confusing. They look to the people to be the basis of how they're going to lead. And then there's leaders that lead as a trustee, which basically means that they believe as though they were elected based off of the trust of the people for them to do the best job they can. They exercise their own wisdom. They choose to lead rather than follow. And typically, this reflects on them in a sense that sometimes often puts them at risk of losing the re-election, whereas those that lead as a delegate typically earn the re-election because they look to the people and what the people want to make their final decisions. So yes, even though you are following the people, you are still considered a leader. One question that I could see coming up in regards to whether or not these two conflict, which I believe it's very clear that they do. It's two completely different styles of leading. One actually looks to the people to be their guidance for how they're going to lead them. I find that to be more of like the humble way to lead, and the other looks at it as they were chosen for the job that they're going to do, and it's basically going to be their way or the highway. So there's definitely conflicting views on that. And a question that I could anticipate would be, what would cause one to be chosen over the other? For instance, what would possibly cause that's leading as a trustee to be elected over somebody that's leading as a delegate? Like, what situations may come about that would provide one to be chosen over the other? And what I truly believe is that it really all depends on the issues at hand, because we obviously choose those who are going to lead us to make important decisions regarding our government, our everyday lives, really important decisions that need to be ran up a chain of command and, executed through a hierarchy. And we choose, for the most part, the people that we believe are going to do the best job when it comes to these important decisions. So what I can see being the case is that if you elect someone that's going to lead as a trustee, you're going to hope that they make the best decision, even if you're not going to have a say in it. These people typically don't look to the public polls to make their decisions. They tend to basically go based off of their own knowledge and like I said, exercise their own wisdom and throw in their 2 cents and make their decisions, whereas those that lead as a delegate, as Disarelli had explained, would be those that look to the people for these decisions, and they're going to consult the public polls. They're going to basically try to be on the same level as those that they are choosing to lead, and that's their style. So in a situation where the major issues that we are trying to, that are being looked at hand when it comes to choosing a leader, because obviously during any form of election, there's always issues that are addressed, and you look to that, that individual that's going to make those best decisions based off of your knowledge and how they've expressed that they're going to handle it. So decisions that affect everybody and that seems to have a typically, a unanimous a unanimous choice that the people clearly want, I believe that's when you would choose someone that's going to lead as a delegate, because they're going to look to the people. They're not going to possibly not going to take the easiest route to, solve the problem. They're going to find a solution that sits best with everybody, whereas those as a trustee may consider that they've already got their mindset and they don't really care whether or not this is exactly what the public wants. They know what's going to be the best decision. So I could see, and personally myself, like if it was something along the lines of, how to improve higher education so that not as many graduate students are coming out unemployed and in such high debt, I personally would want a leader that's going to listen to those of us that are currently pursuing a degree in higher education. I would want someone that understands just how difficult it is to have to maintain student loans and paying student loans and the level of unemployment versus the amount of money that you've put into schooling. Sometimes it's not something that they necessarily can relate to because it may have been years and years and years since they have pursued their own higher education, and a lot has changed since then. So it's a lot more difficult to trust somebody to make just the best decision without feeling as though we're going to be heard, because that is something that is going to affect us in our futures. That's where I would possibly choose somebody as a, that leads in form of a delegate over a trustee. Now, an issue that I don't really educate myself on very much, and something that I personally don't feel as though I could come up with the best solution to, or something that basically any solution that you come up with poses a problem because there's never going to be a unanimous decision. A lot of world relation issues, which sounds terrible because I am in the military and I serve, but I don't choose to listen to a lot of the conflict that goes on between the UN and other countries and things like that. I typically like to just stay local and do what I need to do to be the best person I can be and, be a good airman. And so sometimes I get very, discombobulated when I hear all these different issues regarding world relations. But now when there is a large problem, that's a big deal. So I can't necessarily sit there and play catch up all the time and try to, go back and figure out, well, what happened here and what happened there and what's the best solution. And I feel like a lot of people necessarily can't do that either because there's a lot of communication between world leaders. So in that sense, you may trust someone to lead as a trustee because obviously they're the ones that have been dealing with these issues. They're the ones that have been there. They most likely are the best option for coming up with, the most suitable solution that hopefully would be in our best interest. But again, that is something you would have to trust them to do because they are very likely the most promising candidate to come up with that decision just because of their experience and because of their knowledge, and that's where you would want someone to exercise their knowledge. So, yes, according to the question in the text by Shepsel, I do believe that you lead even if you are following your people. That's leading as a delegate. I believe that leading as a delegate is a very useful form of leadership and most likely usually the most beneficial. There's also leading as a trustee, and I do believe that the two issues butt heads because they're two different types of leading skills. And like I said, I feel the question proposed could be, when would you want to choose one over the other? When would that be the best option? A delegate would be the best option if you are looking at issues that are going to affect you and that you have a say in, and you want someone to exercise your point of view and your say, whereas somebody leading as a trustee would be the best option when the issues are more so out of your hands and there's never going to be that one decision that everybody can agree upon, but this individual is the most trusted person for that job.